start now. So if I'm audible, please drop a message in the chat box.
Yes, you are entirely audible.
Okay, great then. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first teaching session of CWC for the academic year of 2022. Those who have already been the member of CWC in the academic year of 2021 might have interacted with us. But for those of the new ones, let me introduce myself. So my name is Shrijoy Das. I'm one of the core members of CWC volunteering team. I thank all the members who respected our efforts and valued their future to take out some time to join us in the first Kickstart session for the new entries. I request all the attendees to mute themselves and stay with us till the end of the session to mark their attendance and provide us their valuable feedback, which will help us to improve more and deliver a better experience to everyone. Before we start, I request all the attendees to grab their laptop and stay prepared for the upcoming instructions. So can I just have a confirmation of those who have not joined with their laptops? Because I believe most, as per the given instructions, most of you have joined with laptops. But for those who are not joining, a small reason for why, and have they joined or not? So can I have a confirmation, please, right now in the chat box? Okay, for those who have joined, please write yes or no, or give a thumbs up. Please interact with us, everyone. Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, so before we start, I request, I just wanted to ensure that all the attendees have already joined our official Telegram group and our Discord server. If not, I request all of them to check their mailbox and find an email from us that provides the joining instructions. And also for those who are facing the issues while joining our Telegram group, please join our public group, that is CWC Incisive on Telegram, and raise your concern. Any of the available moderators will reach out to help you resolve that issue. The link to the group will be available in the chat box shortly. Now, without further delays, let's get started with the session. I would now hand it over to Manisha and Siddhant to begin the session. So Manisha, Siddhant, get started.
So hello all and good evening and welcome to today's session. Hi there, this is Manisha and I belong to the CWC volunteering team and the host of the day. And I'm glad that amidst the pandemic, we have gathered together virtually. So today I'm going to represent you the basic session on Git and GitHub that will give you the insight regarding how to get started with a version control system as well as the use of GitHub. So now I'd like to request Siddharth to present his screen so that I can proceed forward regarding telling you what to do and what not.
I hope everyone is able to see the screens. Please drop in the chat box if if you can see the screen. Okay, great. Manisha, now hand it over to you.
So Siddharth, will you please show the slide to the audience?
I think he is having some network issues. Siddhant, can you please switch over to the next slide?
Okay. What the open source distribution process designed to handle everything from very large project with speed and efficiency. So nowadays it has become very essential for all of us to have basic knowledge regarding the version control system, that is Git. So Git is a version control system. Now moving on, let's see what actually is version control system. So that please switch on to the next slide. Yes. So version control system is also known as a source control. Users keep their entire code on their local machines. User can make any changes without the access of the internet too from the local system. And yes, expect pushing and pulling changes from a remote server. So basically what we do is most of us, if in case we do not have internet connection, we can just connect our local system with the remote server GitHub through this version control system. So now moving on to the next slide, we will get to know what is GitHub. So GitHub is the largest web-based Git repository hosting service. It allows for the core collaboration with anyone present over online, and it adds extra functionality on top of the Git. We can do several things such as UI documentation, bug tracking, feature request, pull request, and many more. So GitHub is basically a platform where we can go on doing our open source contribution and just collaborate with various developers from all over the world. So most of us, like we can see, we are having the ongoing events such as GMOC or the Oktoberfest. So it has become very essential for all of us to have a basic knowledge regarding the Git and GitHub. So please switch on to the next slide. Yes. So what is basically the advantage of using the GitHub? So yes, as we know, it provides us a free service, although it has the paid services. Students having the student IDs can avail for the GitHub Pro, and it will avail us with lot more features and advantages. It is very fast search in the repo structure, large community, and it is easy to find help from different developers present over there. It offers a practical tool for cooperation and good integration with Git. As I told, it is very easy to connect from our local system to GitHub, and simultaneously we can proceed with our work. It is very easy to integrate with other third-party services. What does it actually mean? You might have noticed to log into some other account, it asks for the authentication or authorization. So GitHub here helps us to log into some other platform through the credentials. So moving on to the next slide, we will get to know what a command line interface actually means. The command line interface, or the CLI, that is very a common among all of us. So command line interface, or the CLI, is a text-based user interface used to run the programs and manage computer files, interact with the computer. Command line interfaces are also called the command line user interfaces. So day to day in our day-to-day coding events, we just come through the command line. We enter various commands and go through them and run according to our respective operations. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. What is Linux? Linux is an operating system, in fact, one of the most popular platforms on the planet. Android is powered by Linux operating system. So, okay, the use of OS varies from person to person. Some of us might be having the Windows, some of us have Linux, and some of us have Mac. So, what actually is Windows subsystem? Please proceed on to the next slide. What does Windows Subsystem Linux actually means? The Windows Subsystem for Linux, or it is famously called WSL, is a feature of the Windows operating system that enables you to run a Linux file system along with Linux command line tools and GUI apps directly on the Windows alongside your traditional Windows desktop and apps. So as we know, we don't have a lot of exposure to Linux. Most of us use Windows. So I would like to request you to even go through all these OS, as it provides a different, very large background for the exposure to working on with the command line tools. Okay, so thank you so much for that. So as we know that Mac and Linux users have a great exposure to the command line tools, but sadly, it is not the case for the Windows users. So first of all, we have some additional steps for the Windows users. That is, we have to install the Windows Subsystem Linux in our local system. For that, we need to have a compatibility check. The first and foremost requirement you should have is the Windows 10 OS installed on the system. And then the most essential thing is we need to have some basic Windows features enabled for the compatibility. For that, please head on to the search bar
Again, I think it is some network issue. Siddhant, if you are hearing us properly, then please head over to the search bar of Windows taskbar.
Okay, so here we can you can see there is option like turn Windows features on or off. So we'll head on to the Windows features, and then we have to notice whether we have the two features enabled or not. The first one is the virtual machine platform, and the second one followed by Windows Subsystem for Linux. Make sure both of them are enabled. If not, then make sure to check the box beside it. If any of the features is not present in your system, then unfortunately your system does not provide the compatibility for Linux. And for the Mac users, kindly do not worry. We will have another session representing you how to get started using the Git for the Mac users. For now, I'd like to request one of our volunteers to drop the link in the chat box. You can refer here for the time being. Okay, sure. One of the option is the virtual machine platform, and the other is the Windows system for Linux. You should make sure that both of these are enabled so that we can move forward with the confirmation that we have the compatibility for the Linux. Okay, so I believe it's clear for all of you. So now let's see how to install the Windows Subsystem Linux through the PowerShell. Siddharth, please show our audience how can we move forward to the PowerShell. So here we go. First, we would like to start with the installation part. So for that, the command that follows is WSL /list /online. So this is the command that will head on by showing you all the distros, that is the different distribution of Linux. From them, we will go with the latest version of the Linux, that is the Ubuntu 20.04. So that is the latest version we are going to work and move on with the installation. So the basic command to install that particular version is WSL /install -d, and then we would copy paste the latest version of the Ubuntu, that is 20.04. So now we can see we are just moving forward with the installation part. So here our demonstrator has already installed the Ubuntu 20.04. So we don't need to install it again. So for those who are working with us through the session and proceeding with the installation, we will wait for 5 more minutes for the installation to get completed. So here we can take a short break. So you can just complete with the installation part. Thank you so much.
So now let's resume. Manisha, please continue from here.
Okay, so now I believe you might be clear with the installation part of the Linux. So now we would move forward with the installation of the Git on our Linux command line. So for that, we will head on writing the command. So the command for that is sudo apt -get install git -y. So this will start installing Git on your system, and after that, it will ask for the root password of your Linux subsystem. Once the password is accepted, it will start the installation by itself.
Siddhant, actually you joined the Y, the hyphen and Y, like
space.
after Git, there is a space over there. Please retype the command. with a space after Git. Yeah, correct.
So you can just see we are proceeding with the installation part and the password has been accepted. So after the completion of the installation, we'll head on to the GitHub and sign in upon there. For those who are not having the GitHub account, please sign up for the account and just move forward with the installation part. So this is the user workspace for the GitHub. Please show them the screen. So this is basically our GitHub workspace. So here you can head on and the users having the account can sign in over there, or the users don't have an account can sign up for the same. Okay, so coming to the command line, coming back to the command line. So now we'll see what actually the connection of the Git and our remote server GitHub is actually done. So Siddharth, now I'd like to request you to present the slide to all our audiences. So here we'll know what SSH actually means. SSH is another name for the secure cell, a network communication protocol that enables two computers to communicate among them. The SSH keys are a pair of public and private keys that are used to authenticate and establish an encrypted communication channel between a client and a remote machine over the internet. So how do you use the SSH key in our Linux? The SSH command provides a secure encrypted connection between two hosts over an insecure network. This connection can also be used for terminal access, file transfer, and for tunneling other applications. Okay, so this was the use of the SSH in Linux. So, okay, so now you can see the link that has been provided in the chat box. Now, I would like to request Sambit to drop the link in the chat box so that we can proceed with the SSH key generation. So here, leading on to this side, you can see the command, that is the sh-keygen -ted2551-c. So you can just copy the command directly from here and can paste it in your PowerShell. Here it will start generating a private or a public key. Here we can see from the copied command, you can just replace the given email ID with your personal email ID. Sincere apologies, it actually means the SSH keygen. So here you can see that your email was the demo email. You can replace it with your personal email ID and then start working on with the same. So here we have proceeded with the creation of the private and the public key. So here it is asking for the location where we can just save our key. So here we don't need to provide a specific path. We'll just move on with the default path that is being provided by the system. So here we'll press the enter and again we'll press enter. Yes, so now it's been clear that the key has been generated. So now I'd like to request copy this particularly generated key to the notepad so that it can help you for the further reference.
Siddhant, please copy the public key path.
So that is actually our public key path, and you can just paste it in the notepad for the further working with the installation path. So now we will move on to the particular directory of the SSH. The command that followed is cd space .ssh. So this particular command will head on us to the SSH directory. Okay, then we'll enter ls and we'll show the list of all the SSH keys. You will have to choose your respective key from the path that is provided from the advert. So you need to carefully have a look on the generated path in our previous commands. So the next command to proceed is cat, and then we would paste the command that was previously been copied in the notepad. Okay, that's great. Now, was a link will drop in the chat box. I would like to request Sambit to drop the link there so that we can move on with the further. Yes, so this will lead you to the adding of the new key that has been generated here in the command line. So Sambit, please. Okay, so Siddharth, please direct to this particular link that has been dropped in the chat box. So you can see this page is generated to GitHub where we can work with the SSH keys. So we will click on the new SSH key and it will provide a default template for us to enter the SSH key that has been generated in the command line. So you can name the title according to your need. Here in the session, we'll give it a title as CWC ITR. So here you can see that we have successfully added our SSH key to our GitHub. So now after this, we need to check that whether our key has been successfully added to GitHub or not. For that, we'll be leading on with the respective command. So the command for the same is SSH space git @ github.com. So this particular command will just lead on to check whether our key has been successfully added or not. So here you can see a message where it interprets us that yes, our key has been authenticated and it's successfully added to our GitHub. So that's going well. Okay, so we know it is a vast library, but here we will teach you the most essential as well as the basic commands. Till now we have completed the Linux installation as well as authenticating the Git with the GitHub. So now coming to the most essential part, we'll be moving forward in working with the GitHub, choosing our command line Git. So as the installation and authentication part is successfully completed, we need to proceed with the operation of Git. But Git itself is a very large program and there are a number of commands we need to explore, which will take hours of time. But considering our time limits, today we'll be going to the basic commands of Git command line tool. So for that, first of all, what we need to do is create an empty folder so that we can proceed on with our work. So the command that follows the same is mkdir space the file name. Here we will name our file as CWC. You can name your file according to your need, according to your name and whatever you wish to. Okay, so here we have created an empty folder. So now we will be directed to that particular empty folder through the command cd space the name of your folder, that is CWC_123. I'd like to request somebody to drop the respective commands in the chat box so that it will help all our audiences to proceed further. Okay, so now we have entered the current directory. So now we will be creating a file inside that particular folder. So the command that follows is touch space the name of the file. You can name it according to your need. Here we can name it as name.txt for our reference. So the touch command will create an empty file inside your empty folder. So now, why should we keep our file empty? We need to add some contents into it. So the basic command that will follow for the insertion of text in the file is cat cretin file name, that is the name.txt, double smaller than.
Sorry to interrupt. Actually, there one step has been missed here. So you have to come out to the SSH directory. So it is still now in the SSH directory. First, you have to come to the home directory. Then you have to create the directory and do the further operations. Please, Siddhant, correct that. So to go to the home directory, you have to type the given command. I'm writing in the chat box. Or you can just write simply cd and press enter. Both of them will work. Okay, now Siddhant, you can continue. Manisha, over to you.
Okay, so here you just entered the basic command for creating the file. So here we will be entering the text into our empty file, that is cat name.txt double smaller than sign uf. So this command is used to insert the text into our empty file. So here we can write any of the text according to your need. Here we are writing Coding Bazaar Club. Then again we'll be typing EOS, and then with this we are successfully entering the text into our empty file. Okay, so now you need to check what text has been added to your empty file. For that, we need to enter the command cat space file name. And yes, guys, do not get confused with both of these commands. The first command just tells us what to insert into our empty file, and the latter one just shows the displays the content of the text that has been entered into the file. So now we have just completed creating the file and inserting the text into it. So now I'd like to request Siddharth to head on to our GitHub workspace. And there we will say you how to create an empty repository. You need to head to your profile, then click on new. So with this, you are directed to a page where you'll be told to create a repository. Here we will create the repository with the name CWC. You can name it according to your need, or you can give the description according to your needs. You can keep it as public or private according to whatever you want. You can add a README file, you can add a ignore, you can just go on according to your compatibility. So moving on, let's click on the create repository, and successfully we have created the repository, a blank repository for adding our contents. So coming back to the command line. Okay, so our empty repository has been created. So how can you get started or get initialized this particular repository? we need to initialize a particular repository to get started with the entering the inputs into our GitHub. So the command for that is git space init. So this will initialize the empty Git repository that you just created right now in your workspace. So after that, we need to specify the URL of the remote repository that we just created. So for that, we'll head on to the GitHub. From the code section, we'll copy the command that will follow the SSH. Yes, some of us can also tell that, yes, we can use the HTTPS authentication or the GitHub CLI, but here the SSH is the most secured as well as most prominent one, which we can go on working with. So we will copy this particular link in the notepad. Okay, so the next command that has been going to connect our system with the remote repository is git space remote space add origin. And then we can go on pasting the link that's copied from GitHub. This will just simply connect your system along with the server GitHub that we just created right now. So we are okay with the authentication part. Then we will just move forward, adding the contents that we just created. For that, adding the files, we need to add a command git space add space -all. Here I want to tell you a very important thing, that git add all is the command where you can move on adding all the files that you generated or created by yourself. And also we have a command that is the git space add space name.txt. That is the command for inserting a single file that you wish to enter in your GitHub repository. So do not get confused with both these commands. For now, you are using git add --all so that we will enter all our files into the GitHub repository. So moving on, now we move with the commit messages. Commit message here tells you that after entering all your information, if we turn to the GitHub, it will show your respective commit messages at what all you have done till now or what contents are there in your files. So for that, we need to enter the command git space commit space -n space double quotes. Here you can enter your commit messages like if you are adding a file or you are making a feature change or you are fixing a bug according to your need. So here we are writing the message added. So you can see that here are the list of the commits that we just created in our folder. So now the last but not the least is the last command, that is we'll push all our contents into our GitHub. So the command for the same is git push origin master. Here different people are having the different branches to work on, but the default branches are the master and main. For those people working with the main branch can further proceed with the command that is git push origin main. So you can see we have successfully pushed all our contents into the GitHub. So we will head on to the GitHub to have a check regarding how we have successfully installed all the things and entered all the information from our local system to the GitHub. So Siddharth, please show our audience that whether you have entered all things successfully or not. When you refresh the page, you can see.
Siddhant, please choose the master branch. Currently, it is main branch. Guys, there has been a little mistake in git push, but yeah, you can see the find the name.txt file here.
Exactly as I told is different people will be having different branches. Now he was having the main branch. He pushed it through the master branch. So yes, here you can see that the contents are being successfully added to our GitHub repository. And yes, thus it successfully demonstrates that we have completed with the installation part, the authentication part, as well as entering the text into our respective folder into the GitHub repository. So this was just a session of the basic commands, and do not worry, we will be back with some more sessions that will just describe and take it into the deep dive into some more basic Git commands.
Actually, copy pasting the command, there is one correction over there. The dollar sign is actually representing the beginning of the command. So you have to, like you can see in your terminal, the dollar sign is already given over there. So everyone must copy the command right after the dollar sign. So any of them who are copy pasting the command, please ensure to copy, like in the case of suppose copy it after the dollar sign. So sudo apt get install git -y. Okay, so enter the file. Yeah, you just have to press enter over there. Like it is a default path. Already a default path is given. So you just have to copy paste. Okay, any other questions?
Anybody else having the queries? Feel free to put it in the chat box.
Yeah, passphrase, it is like a password. You may save it right now, or you may just skip it for now. When we will be having one more session for advanced level of Git, we can discuss about it over there. Okay, so any more doubts, please like bring it up fast.
So thank you so much all of you for attending us today, and you joined and made this session a great success. And we are looking forward for some more sessions like this to get your queries cleared and have a deep dive into the open source as well as using of Git and GitHub. So thank you so much and have a nice day.